So, hello. The purpose of this podcast is, well, mainly for my class, Nikkei Studies class, for my final project. Nikkei is the Japanese word for Japanese diaspora, not in Japan. And then for this class, it was Nikkei in the US studies. We're doing a research assignment, and I wanted to take a creative approach, and I wanted to explore what are contemporary Hafu, specifically half Japanese, half white American people's relationships with their identities. I specified half Japanese, half white because I know that that's a common thing because of Japan's relationship with Westernity and almost like an idealization of it, and also because I don't feel qualified to cover other mixed ethnicities. I feel passionate about this question because in the Nikkei Studies class I was drawn because I'm like, oh, it's Japanese American studies, I'm technically Japanese and American, but it turned out to focus mainly on Japanese people in America during World War II era and how they were affected and how generationally descendants of that being affected by it. And it was cool to learn about, but I found myself not really relating personally because of my own unique positionality. And so I wanted to expand who is included under the Nikkei umbrella, Japanese American umbrella, and make sure that this Japanese American identity remains inclusive and relevant and up to date. So that's why I brought you guys here to have this discussion.
Thank you for inviting us here.
Yay, thanks for coming. But first I want to give introductions. I'll start with me, I guess. I'm Lili. Well, in the United States, I've been introducing myself as mixed just because it's kind of annoying to go through the whole I'm half, and then they're like, what, half what? And I'm like, half Japanese. They're like, whoa, you're half Japanese. Do you watch this anime? I'm like, no. So I just say I'm mixed. But if I was in Japan, I would say I'm Hafu, which means half, literally. So, and I lived in Japan for 10 years. I grew up there. I moved back and forth between the U.S., California, Central Valley, and I think I've been in the U.S. for a total of 16 years. After graduating high school in Japan, I decided to come to the U.S. because I felt like I could be more myself here because it's way more diverse and way more people from all over the world, so I didn't really feel like I stood out as much as I did in Japan. But that's where I'm at.
Hello, I am Maya, and yeah, I guess I always identify as just half Japanese. So my mom, she's from Japan, and she came over here when she was 21 or so, and married my dad. And they met in Japan when they were both going to college, basically. And yeah.
So real quick intro, Daniel. I'm Yonsei, fourth generation, so my mom's grandparents were immigrants. So you're saying more modern interpretation of Japanese American, because it is internment and all the things that happened during World War II were so significant to the history of any kind of immigrant population. It's really unique in American history, so it's also I can see why people would want to study it academically, and it definitely was a thing. I sort of credit that with the reason why I'm not more Japanese, because that's just the cultural pass down stopped there, and my mom is just not really that Japanese.
Yeah, there was such a huge pressure to assimilate, and a lot of Japanese people rejected their Japanese-ness during that time because they could be, they were forced to be American basically. They had to do that test, do you swear loyalty to the emperor, or are you loyal to America?
I wonder I wish we could go back in time and interview Japanese Americans before internment and kind of before the war-ish, and just be before the war even, and being do you feel more Japanese or American? I bet you they would have been we feel more Japanese.
Yeah.
Because that was never a problem.
Yeah, I feel what we studied in class is a lot of the issei. So this kind of bleeds into the terminology. And then issei is a term, it means first generation. So first generation Japanese people in the United States. And then nisei is second generation. Sansei, third. Yonsei, fourth. Gosei, fifth. So on and so forth. Oh, so there's a term shin issei. Shin is new. New first generation, and that distinction is important because traditional issei is usually from the World War II era, So contemporary Shin Issei is people who immigrate more recent, like way after World War II, so they don't have that like incarceration experience and that like racialized experience. But going back to what we were talking about, like the Issei, like pre-World War II, they really wanted to go back to Japan. Like they came here to make money basically, and they're like, I'm gonna go back and make it. And then the World War II happened, and everyone got incarcerated, and, and then their children, the Nisei, were like, I'm American though, and my parents are like, don't want to speak English, and they're completely like, well, I bet every family is different, but a lot of it was like, we want to go back to Japan, so why even learn English? And then the kids were like, but I'm, and then they have to like choose which one. And
I wish I had been able to talk to my grandparents more about this when they were alive, honestly. Like, we did not talk about this at all. They spoke Japanese, I think. They never spoke it around me. I never, no hints of that at all. My mom, zero, like none. So I wish, we're going to talk about this over the course of the, but I've always been like curious about I've never like rejected I've never felt any sort of negativity towards my Japanese identity. It's always just kind of been like, oh, but it's never been like a deep pull to be like, what is this? Like, I'm so curious. It was more like passively I would get some information about like what is Japan and what does it mean to be Japanese, and I would sort of be like, that feels sort of relevant to me, but not like there was no like like exploration or research done on my part formally. But now that I'm older, I don't know why it took this long for me to start to be more interested in it. It's very strange.
Because I know there's like so many different terms for like whatever we are, but it's really up to the individual to choose, like own it, you know, because we were talking about the term Hafu, which is a Japanese term, but then earlier you were talking about daburu, which is a term that a lot of half people in Japan like to call themselves now, because they're like, I'm not half anything, I'm double. So I think that's an interesting key term.
Well, I think like I struggled a lot with my identity growing up, because I think when I went into high school, like my first day, a lot of people were like, what are you? And it automatically made me feel like I need to know what I am, whatever that means. And also Oakland Tech was like really diverse. Everyone kind of had their pockets of like who they, you know, fit in with. I felt like I needed to kind of choose. Anyway, I would say that I'm half Japanese. And I would get the same thing like, oh, wow, you're half Japanese? That's amazing. Do you know this anime? Or I love Japanese food. Cool, thanks. But yeah, I think definitely all throughout high school I struggled with my identity, because I felt like I wanted to belong in a group, and there wasn't really any other mixed kids at my school like that. And if they were, they kind of more just identified with their white side. But I think because I grew up really close with my mom and also having family in Japan, I always wanted to and felt like a pull to identify with my Japanese side.
Like when you were talking about your analogy, or like your literal experience of like having to choose, like I just imagine you on the first day of high school, like walking to the cafeteria and like looking at the different tables, and you're like, which one do I sit at?
It kind of was like that.
How was your like relationship with identity growing up? Like, do you feel like it was something important for you to identify as anything? Were there like external pressures or internal pressures, or were you just like no pressure?
Oh my god, this is a really complicated question. Identity is more than race too, for sure. Yeah. I mean, to look at it purely through race is like kind of complicated too. Like, I mean, most of my cultural touchstones were like black athletes and black music was sort of like where I gravitated towards. And I think, I mean, that's true for a lot of people in general. Just like, that's just American culture. Popular culture is kind of a mishmash of. So there was some of that. I mean, I always felt Japanese, but again, like my cultural touchstones for like Japanese-ness were like, oh, Pokemon, cool. Like, I wonder, would I have liked Pokemon as much as I did if I wasn't at all Japanese? And like, maybe. Like, I don't think it had anything to really do with it.
Yeah.
I was like 8 at the
Yeah.
time, so like, and a lot of people got into it at that time.
Yeah.
So a lot of things like that. Like, there were like, you know, Dragon Ball and like all the gradual infiltration of Japanese culture into American popular culture. Like, the longer it goes on and the more it like permeates, like you guys both reference, like people are like, what anime do you watch? Like, I'm like, I would watch them, but not, I hope we talk about how uncomfortable it is that a lot of people are so deep into Japanese culture, and I am Japanese, and I'm like, do I need to be more into it? I can't
Right.
compete with your level of interest in this.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it's more of an organic kind of like,
Yeah.
I think it's cool, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Some people on like every level though, like so
Yeah.
many
Yeah.
people, like so many younger people, or I don't know, random people are like, learn Japanese just like straight up, and I'm
Yeah.
like, I would love to learn Japanese, of course. That's
Me
like, it's
too.
been like sort of a goal floating around forever, like in my, you know, I should do that, but why are they so motivated to do that? Like,
Right.
shouldn't I be that way? Like,
I
what-
feel the
mean,
same way.
It's sort of unnerving.
I
Yeah.
know.
Like, why? There's some sort of drive
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
like join Japanese culture,
Yeah.
that's, even though it's not at all related.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like, I should have that.
Yeah.
Because it's like part of my
Yeah.
heritage somehow, but
Right.
that's like a
Yeah.
calling.
Yeah, it's like an
Yeah.
obsession
Intellectual.
through like the media that they consume, and they're just so in love with the media that like they just want to dive into this world, which is like cool, but it's also not really an accurate representation of
It's
the
an
country as a
illusion.
whole. So they're getting this like
It's very-
skewed and idealized, romanticized
Mhm.
version of Japan. I love that you're so passionate about it. That's awesome, but also like that's not my experience. That's not my relationship with it. So like I'm gonna disappoint you when you ask me if I like anime when I say I don't like it, like I don't watch it, and like you can't put that your idealization of Japan onto me because I'm Japanese. Like I'm not gonna have that
Yeah.
relationship with it.
Yeah.
When was the first time you went to Japan, Daniel?
It was like 3 or 4 years ago. So yeah, not.
Was that your first?
Yeah, that was
Okay,
the first
so-
time I had
oh,
never
cool.
been before. Yeah.
Whoa.
I've had no reason to go there, other than
Mm.
the, you know, I should be curious about my own heritage kind
Mm.
of stuff, but I didn't have like family there, never spoke the language, like, and I've gone one more time since, and I haven't picked up enough of the language to really be benefiting from it. Honestly, I like being there. Like, it's all cool, and there's just the language barrier is real.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I feel that.
what is traveling? I don't even really think I get a lot out of traveling because I want to live in a place to really feel what's going on there.
Yeah.
And just like passing through, there's only so much you can pick up.
Yeah. So how do you feel like your experience with Japan is, and how has that shaped like your identity?
Yeah. So, yeah, growing up, we would go back pretty often because my mom's whole side of the family is over there. So we would go, yeah, like every 2 years or so. And I was really close with a lot of my cousins over there. And they're a lot closer to age compared to like my cousins in America who are white. So I think partially that like closeness in age made me really close with them. Also, I'm an only child, so I kind of viewed them as more of like the closest thing I have to siblings,
Mhm,
I guess.
mhm.
And every single time we would go, usually it would be around like Oshogatsu, so like
Mhm.
New Year's. And I've always felt really welcomed and warm, like lots of warm feelings there. Because just my family, I don't know, everyone treated me like, you know, their own. And I
Mhm.
felt like I belonged. And
Mhm.
but I think what was hard was we would only go for, you know, like 2 weeks at a time, right?
Mhm.
So it'd be like a magical 2 weeks of being there with my cousins who I feel really close with, and having food that I love, and even like picking up on the language a little bit, but I still can't speak 100% fluently. Like I can only read like hiragana and katakana. I can't read kanji at all. So like that's, you know, reading is out. So I don't know. I've had mixed feelings when I would come back because it's like two really separate worlds, being in
Mhm.
America versus being in Japan.
Mhm.
And every time going there, because it was like this really warm feeling, I think I would always feel this longing when I was back in America to like want to connect with that side of myself more, or wanting to be more in touch with everyone and wanting to talk to my cousins. But then it's, you know, it's weird. You leave and I don't talk to my cousins because, you know, texting. Like, I can't read and write like that. So it's just like they all just live in like a time capsule of memories, and that's kind of it. And then over here, it was like, you know, find where you belong. Yeah. So it's just like a weird, interesting layers to it.
Yeah, I feel like, well, my relationship with my identity has been strange, especially because, like, I lived in Japan for so long. Like, I have really difficult, I kind of rejected the whole racial identity thing, because in Japan I had like a really bad experience with it, like being visibly half white. You know, people are already like, are you half? And then, but more so than visually, it was like socially, because moving back to Japan after living in the United States, I would forget the language. But on top of the language barrier is like the social rules that are so ingrained from like the moment you're born. You're socialized to be Japanese, and there's so much about like politeness and like social hierarchy and, you know, being in your place and staying in your place, and, you know, like all these things that really I couldn't fit in. And there was a lot of bullying too because of my race, physical bullying, just like stuff like that made me really negatively associate with my Japanese side and Japan as a whole. And that's why I came to the US, and that's why I'm also like, my race doesn't define me, and I don't really, well, up until recently I haven't wanted to incorporate my race into my identity because I felt like I was my own person. Beyond that, like, Japan was just a place that I had lived, and yeah, it shaped me in ways, but it's not like I'm Lili, you know?
Yeah.
Like, but then now that I'm at SF State, and I'm learning that, like, this college is where ethnic studies was, like, founded, and, like, people fought so hard during a time when people of color were just excluded from so many things and didn't have equal access to opportunities. So, like, seeing race from that context is like, oh, maybe there's, like, I could relate more to it. So yeah, it's like interesting. And then I also feel like it's a very American thing to like identify heavily with your racial, ethnic, cultural background, because we're such a diverse country, and you know, it's like it's a huge part of what makes you stand out and what gives you your personality is like how you were raised. And also because American culture is very whitewashed, so to take a stand and be like, no, I actually am proud of my heritage and I don't want to assimilate completely, and I don't want to lose that part of me. And yeah,
that sounds like a full healthy cycle of, you know, you like denial, and then you like accept that you, and then you're like trying to be like, you removed yourself from it, and now you can incorporate it on your own terms, you know. So that's
true.
But what you're saying about heavily identifying with your, like, I feel like I can't identify that heavily because I'm so far removed from it. And it's like the more I learn about Japanese things, like you're saying, it's like when you're growing up in Japan, you're socialized to be Japanese, and it's like, I think that's like somehow the essence of Japanese-ness is being that way, and it's like I have no access to that. I was not socialized that way, so it's like the degree to which I can identify as Japanese, like having not had that experience in any way, combined with people that are so obsessed with Japanese, like it's like how do I like invest in my identity through that? So for me, that's not even a choice. Like that can't be a part of my identity because, or like it's like an uncomfortable part where basically what it is, it's like it's something that I take very seriously, like personally, like inside of me, but like whenever I try and express it, it's sort of like you won't understand like the degree to which this is important to me, but how it's like I can't really like explain to like other Japanese people or other, like I can't, it's hard, it's just more difficult to communicate how much it's a part of me, because it's just a very personal, like I know I'm Japanese, but not really though. But like for me, like I have my own level of what it means to me.
The generational gap is also like a huge component, because it's like things get lost if your ancestors don't intentionally pass things down to you. So the further you are generationally, you kind of do become lost, or like is that part of me, or?
It's, there's a quote or something. Let's see, the rapper in Linkin Park, Mike Shinoda, I don't know what generation, pretty far removed from Japan, and I read there was some quote that he had, like, I don't remember where I read this, but he talked about how, like, when he went back to Japan, he noticed all these, like, tics and, like, things, like, just, like, gestures and just ways of thinking or something. Like, it was some, like, pretty far removed stuff where it's like, oh, like, my aunt did that, and I sort of do that. Like, it's, so there's a weird sort of, not like, there's, like, a nature versus nurture thing. Like, how much of your race or, like, your ethnic, your cultural history, your ancestry is, like, becomes part of your DNA.
Yeah.
And it's like, so I've always wondered, like, I'm like frighteningly deferential to people. I'm like, is this because I'm like, is that some of that, like, slightly because I'm Japanese? Yeah. Like, it's like part of my personality informed by some deeper, like, genetic thing, or because they're like, is there, like, trace elements of the cultural heritage that made it to my mom, sort of, like, where's the line on all that stuff? It's just the lines aren't as clear. It's not like, this is our culture. It might be in there somewhere, and I like to think it is inside, personally, just because it makes me feel more connected, but I can't. It feels strange to try and, like, prove that.
Yeah.
What does deferential mean?
Just, like, really taking others' point of view into consideration, like being, like, way too polite to people, or, like, trying to, like, being overly, like, oh no, sorry, like,
that is a notoriously Japanese
that
trait.
is,
but, like, it's really,
it really is.
whatever makes other people more comfortable is, like, that's the move.
Definitely.
Oh my gosh,
like
same.
that too.
It's hard. So here's a question that I had written down. Do you want to preserve your Japanese-ness in any capacity?
Yeah, no matter who. Yeah. If I should have children with whoever, and whatever their ethnic makeup will be, they're gonna know that they are some portion Japanese for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be in there. I mean, also just, like, food and, like, they're gonna get some sort of cultural education in what being Japanese is. I wonder.
And, like, how would you want to do that, especially considering, like, your own relationship with kind of feeling not diluted, but, like, far distant in a way? Like, is there any ways that you'd want to strengthen it, or
certainly I would hope to. I'm trying to go back to Japan as often as possible personally, but I would like to travel there with whoever, or in whatever capacity in the future. Who knows? No, I mean, growing up, my mom would always point out, like, oh, like, you know, Christy Hamaguchi, check it out, she's Japanese. We root for Japanese people. It would just be something simple like that to just, like, identify with Japanese things, probably at a minimum. Strengthening it, like, if I could learn the language, that would be great. But
you mentioned food. Did you, like, when you grew up, was that, like, a big thing in your home too, like, cooking Japanese food with your mom, or
no? Not huge. I mean, it's in there. We had, you know, rice all the time. I remember.
Well, rice is.
I mean, everyone eats rice, but I remember, this is, like, a pretty vivid childhood memory. I don't know how old I was, but we ate rice with, like, furikake on it, and just like I always wanted. My dad puts just soy sauce on rice, which is really, I've come to learn, not. It's very strange. It's just, but I wanted something. I forget what I wanted on my rice. Maybe it was furikake, maybe it was something. But then my brother was just eating, like, plain rice, and he's like, "You want something on your rice because you're not real Japanese." And I'm like,
No.
I got so mad. I'm like, what? Like, I don't know. That really bothered me.
Furikake is Japanese.
Or something. Yeah. And then, so even from a younger age, maybe that's just, like, classic brother-sibling rivalry thing, but just the fact that he would point out that I'm not, like, Japanese. I'm like, hey, I am. It made me so angry, probably because I'm like, I can't prove it, but that's not more Japanese than me, even though neither of us are.
How do you feel about cultural preservation?
I think it's super important, but it's something I think about a lot too. On the how.
I didn't think about that until just now. Thanks for asking. I'm going to think critically about that in the future.
I think food is, like, a big thing. Like, for me, just, like, I love Japanese food. I grew up eating it. I like cooking it. Now that's, like, I do my own research to learn how to make new recipes and stuff. And so that's definitely, I think, always going to be there. But, like, I've always wanted to live in Japan for a while, so I can just like experience that and fully understand that side of myself. But I think I also come to questions with like, would that solve anything? I don't know necessarily.
I think it would help.
I think it would help
for sure.
Yeah.
That's like a goal of mine too, to like live there for some amount of time. It feels more unrealistic the longer time goes on, but it's a great goal.
Yeah. I would love to. But
it would definitely help.
Yeah, I think it would help too. I think I just might go through my own struggles with it in the same way that I've gone with it in America. I think I would have it on the flip side, being there and kind of just like the polarity of the two sides. I think I may feel more. But yeah, like I talk about this with Jamie, my partner, all the time, because so he's Cambodian, and we talked about like if we were to have kids, what would that look like? And in my mind, idealistically, I'm like, they're going to be trilingual.
Right.
But I'm like, how realistic is all of those languages? I don't know. But yeah, I want to preserve it, and I think I want to get more in touch with that side myself too, so that I can pass it down better.
Lily, do you eat natto? Do you eat natto?
I do.
Yeah. So like I tried. It's like
Do you like natto?
No, you have to prepare it correctly. Like you have to mix it a lot. And then you have to eat it immediately. Otherwise, it kind of starts to taste funky.
Just don't smell it.
That's when it starts to taste funky. I feel like it tastes funky no matter what. But that's the thing where it's like I think you have to eat it from when you're little. Or something. Otherwise, if you grow up with it, like. So maybe I'll like feed my kid natto and be like, here, you will enjoy this.
He's like, you can't even eat this.
I'm like, I can't. But
not for me, but you do
this. You have to be able. This is part of your cultural heritage.
This is a rite of passage.
I'll eat it with them, but I'll just
you are
like,
Japanese. Welcome.
This is good right now. And then also like with the food thing, like my relationship with the food is so distant that I was asking my boss to show me how to make miso soup, like for real, like and so very simple recipe, but she was like, here, cut the tofu for the soup, and I started cutting it into like these tiny little like 1 centimeter cubes, and she just like saw that and just started cracking up because she's like, I know why you're cutting it like this, because at every Japanese restaurant, every sushi restaurant, when they serve you the miso soup, the tofu is tiny, but she's like, they're doing that to save money, you know, it's like a restaurant like. When people make miso soup in Japan, that's just like full of stuff. Like it's more. I'm like, oh, I thought like the delicate emptiness of the soup was part of like the Japanese. But it's like no, they're just cheap. It's just like a restaurant owner trying to save money, and then it became the cultural norm, like to expect that.
Funny.
I would like my kids to have more of an understanding of Japanese culture than what they get from like a Japanese restaurant, which is sort of a good metaphor for my entire. I learned about Japanese culture through like Pokemon and media, and it's like that's like the restaurant equivalent of culture. It's not like a real cultural education. So and I think I'm at least more aware of it than like my mom was. So any level deeper than that will be more than I got. Even though I was a part of like I mentioned the Japanese Little League and like the Buddhist temple. So like I was in those communities, but it did not like occur to me to like it didn't feel very like.
How old were you at that time?
Like, 8 through 13.
Yeah.
So, like, I was just a kid, and I didn't really think I wasn't thinking too hard about it. And it was not presented to me in any kind of way. Like, this is your community. Like, this is like an intellectual thing. Like, your community. And I didn't even, like, I was just, like, I was not a sports kid either, so I was just, like, standing on the baseball field, like, looking at some dandelions and being like, why am I here?
That's so cute.
Can I go home and just, like, play Game Boy? Like, why are you making me do this? Like, so as long as my kid knows more than that, that's strengthening. That's strengthening it.
Yeah. For me, oh boy, it would require me to like I definitely would. Oh, I guess like cultural preservation. The most immediate way to do that is if you have kids. And I'm trying to think. I wonder if there's any other ways to do it, but also in the context of if I were to ever have kids.
Or if you're just making, I mean, for you, like making art is like an art baby. Is your art baby gonna have Japanese things in it? Probably, like based on what you were saying, it's like your work is more about you and like something else. So it's
well, like the language thing, I would want if I were to have kids to like for them to speak Japanese, but then that would require me to speak Japanese, which is like, am I emotionally prepared to do that? Because it's like bringing back so many things, and like I probably won't show them like shows and stuff, but I think any act of like cultural transference would require me to do a lot of emotional labor about my own difficulties with the country. So I'm like, oh, that sounds painful for me. But like in art, well, I feel like I do carry Japanese influence in very subtle things that I don't attribute completely to the Japanese-ness of it, but like just like subtle natural elements, and like it's so hard to explain it because it's kind of abstract, but like attention to detail and like valuing high quality like materials and aesthetics and results and whatever you do, like do it intentionally, do it well, do it precisely, and I definitely value like that. So maybe that's a Japanese thing that I absorbed.
Did you guys ever deal with like on documents, right, when you have to like check the boxes of like
still not,
you know, it's like, are you Asian, white, black,
other,
Latino, other,
Pacific
Islander? Yeah, I feel like I always struggled with that, like especially when I was younger.
Two or more like, races is always like, oh good,
yeah,
just whatever.
Thank goodness.
Like, why do you care? Does that help you, whoever is tracking this data?
And like I wanted to just like write in like Japanese specifically, but then
even Asian,
but Asian, white, but then I'm like, white is also complex too.
I know white people talk about feeling like there's no particular, like they don't feel any sort of particular cultural heritage because, and this is sort of maybe the root of a lot of cultural problems as America, is like because they don't have a specific cultural heritage, they feel like the entire culture belongs to them because like that's my cultural heritage. America, which is whites, clearly, like not French or whatever, Euro like descendants, like how I'm sure it matters how long your family has been in America. So
definitely.
But then so they feel like they have no cultural identity. It's like I also sort of feel like I have like there's sort of a nothingness to my racial identity because I'm like so disconnected culturally, but it's like a different nothing. Because I don't feel I'm particularly attached to the white part of America. Either. So it's a similar sort of feeling though.
Because like well, because like whiteness, you trace your whiteness back. There's like French and blah blah blah, but like that's kind of what whiteness did in America. Is like you sacrifice your cultural identity to become this blob of white, because back when people were immigrating from different parts of Europe, they would get discriminated, like Italian or Irish or so they removed that from themselves and then became white because it
is that still the goal now though? Like it's like, well, what is the future look like? The future is more of like a like we're trying not to do that because it's a stupid club, like white. There's like white passing is like such a thing in a lot of cultures around the world. Like it's just we need to get past race in general. So it's sort of like what is the goal now? And it's like, is it to hold on to your heritage and stay specific, or is it just for us to like not care anymore about
I don't know.
Like
I don't know. Because like I used to be in the boat of I don't care. Like it doesn't even matter. Like I'm not gonna look at you different because you're a different, like you're this or that. But
it seems to matter.
I've always felt in America that it was very important, and then through this class I'm kind of seeing more of like, okay, I understand why it's important to people now, but I still don't know.
I always feel like I've always felt like it's important, but I think I've always struggled with how to fully connect, I guess, and because of that there's like this like emptiness in between where I'm like I've always felt like I live with like 1 foot here and 1 foot there or I'm like literally in the ocean in between like Japan and America.
Hawaii.
I'm like Hawaii. But then I'm not Hawaiian, so
I'll move to Hawaii.
I'm like in the ocean just swimming back and forth like, where do I go?
It's funny that you mentioned the water, because that's also like I wrote like a whole poem thing that but like I wrote like half a page on like the intermediateness, we're like the water between two continents, literally. Like we're fluid, and our identity is fluid as well, depending on where we live, who we're around, who like, because if you're in Japan you're going to speak Japanese, but if you're in America you're going to speak English, but then if you're in America, but you're speaking with another Japanese person, you're going to be speaking Japanese. So it's like you adapt and you adjust and you're like flowing and fluid. And, but I also feel like the future of the world, I feel like the world is definitely becoming multicultural for sure, and a lot of mixed children for sure. And so I think identity is gonna become more fluid. Like, I am this, but I'm also that, and I am both, and I can navigate both, and I'm not just like this one thing. Yeah, I'm not this one monolithic thing that defines me now and forever, and everything about this thing transfers over to me, and you know.
Yeah, we exist in the grays, not in the black and white.
The shades of gray, just coloring the world.
Also, I feel like a chameleon sometimes with the different parts of myself, and feeling like I'm realizing maybe that's sometimes why I'm so easygoing, because I feel like I have to just belong wherever I am, whether that's with my white identity or my Japanese identity.
Adapting.
I think I've always felt like a chameleon, and now I want to be more like, oh no, I'm intentionally choosing where I want to exist in the world. And but it's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is.
That kind of makes I feel like, what is the opposite? Is the opposite of a chameleon like a black sheep? Like, because I also am sort of like a similar concept, but also like I just feel like I don't fit in anywhere kind of thing, which is like some version of that.
Yeah, I relate to that a lot, of like being in, no matter what space I'm in, I'm always the one who has to compensate extra in order to fit in with everyone. Like, I feel like other people are the ones that set the tone and the vibe and the rules, and I am always the outsider brought into their world, and I have to learn, adapt, and fit in.
Yeah.
But that tracks with your upbringing.
Well, yeah, exactly. Literally. Identity is such a weird concept.
Really so tricky.
Complex.
And then it's like, I don't even know, but then...
Yeah, confused. That's how I feel about my identity.
Yeah, I feel like I like to tie things, or tie consistent patterns. Like, over time, I'll notice that I've always been creative. And, like, that's something that, even when I stop doing it, it always comes back. So I'm like, okay, I guess I'm a creative person. And I guess, like, it's such a repeating pattern that I'm not going to... Like, it's part of me.
Gosh.
So like like traits or like personality aspects or like things that are always come out of me without me even consciously thinking about it. But then it's like, but I'm also fluid, and I change and I evolve, and I don't want to be one thing forever all the time.
In there, that's so smart. Like I have that's wow, that's good. I'm gonna take that. And I have way more, or not way more, but I'm like older. There's more data to pull from the different but so good job tracking that. I haven't been tracking that, but I'm gonna start now because I've been in enough contexts where, and I'm sufficiently confused about my identity to where I'm like, maybe I can figure out who I am by examining how I was in all of these different situations and seeing like, okay, I seem to have acted somewhat similarly over this period. Oh, good. Thank you for that. I'm gonna use that.
How do you feel about your identity?
That's a hard question, but I feel like I'm a complex person.
Yeah.
I'd say I'm also creative, but I think I'm like a very ideas person. And I don't know, I think I'm a very like empathetic person, I'd
definitely
like to say. And I think I identify with that probably, and I think I care a lot about things and people and in general, and sometimes care too much. But I would say that I hold that part as part of my identity, and I think that all has come out of my experiences with, you know, my being half Japanese and my mom, and also my experience you know, with my dad, or growing up around food my whole life. Like, all of these different aspects of me have kind of shaped that. But I don't, it's a hard question to be like, I am this, you know, because it's like, I'm so many things. But yeah, I think I'd like to be hopefully like remembered as someone who cares a lot about others.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Maybe I identify with that, and being a creative thinker and
Mm-hmm.
maybe a problem solver to some degrees.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, more about like the
Yeah.
essence of, you know, like, yeah, like race, ethnic background is a facet of it. Like it shaped my experiences and stuff, but my identity, first and foremost, when I think of my identity, I'm like, I'm Lili. That's me. And then it's like, oh, who's Lili? And then it comes down to more like energetic essence, you know, like things that aren't tied to like labels or things. It's just like,
I like the word essence that
Essence,
you use,
yeah.
because I think it is that, like,
Yeah.
that's what your identity is, and it comes, your essence is distilled from all these different
Yeah.
experiences that you go through, or, you know, yeah, it is from like what you know, maybe you are racially, that's one aspect, but then there's also, I don't know, maybe I'm getting off track of my initial thought, but all of it, I think, distills into this essence, and that's
Yeah.
what your identity is.
yeah.